Thank you so much, Heidi. That's beautiful. All right, we're going to keep rolling here. And we have our MP of the day, which is, it is immoral to care about your people. It's immoral to care about your people. We're just individuals. We're just individuals. We're not races. We're not peoples. We're just individuals. How many of you who are hearing my voice right now have heard that MP? Not, you would be able to gift Leno points, at least for the time being. We'll talk more about everything that's going on. But chime in right now. Have you heard this used on you before? Have you heard it on television? Have you heard it from classmates? Have you heard it from your parents? There are no races. They're just individuals. It's immoral. It's immoral. It's unethical to consider people as groups. Who here has heard of that? I'm sure all of you have heard this MP before in some form, in some way. It is immoral to think about individuals as peoples. Well, there's a simple response to this that you can use to just about any iteration. And this is the thing you have to remember also. Going free is a practice. That means you have to be involved. You know, I can't take you to the range with me and say, here is how you use a firearm, and you never use it. You will never learn how to use the firearm just by watching. You have to actually use your mind. You have to use your arms and hands and fingers to become accustomed to the 12-pound trigger, to become accustomed to the sight, to become accustomed to the weight. You have to use your mind when it comes to these things. The MPs, as we share them here, have been inflicted on you, and therefore you have been infected, and it has been delivered, that infection, in various iterations, in various ways, numerous scenarios. So you've been told, maybe it's been more of a backing in the door kind of a way, that it is immoral to think about groups of human beings, and there are only individuals rather than groups. And then even if there are, maybe this is a way you've heard of it, even if it's true that there are races of people or groups of people or ethnicities, even if that's true, it's still immoral. Well, how do you deal with that? Well, if you go the old route, and we don't need to rag on how antiquated the old methods are. I mean, everybody knows that's why they're still losing and not having the successes. Instead, we're going to talk about in a completely different way. And now the same with MCs, what holds true with MPs holds true with MCs. So your application, the intensity, the specific verbiage can be altered for the scenario. So the MC, the general MC, and this is for treating yourself when it comes to this MP inside of you. Have you heard this voice? I bet you right now, somebody watching live, more than one, speak up if it's you, even if you're a wallflower, maybe. Break through the ice and say, yeah, that was me. You've heard this in your mind. Your subconscious mind has told you, no, you can't think about groups of human beings as groups, as races, as ethnicities. You have to think of them as individuals. It is immoral to think of them as any other way. Has that been you? It's going through everybody's minds. It's just a matter of who's going to be brave enough and honest enough to step up and say, yep, I've heard that one go through my head. So you can use this MC on yourself. You can use it on others. You only say that when the people is white people, which reveals that you are anti-white. You would never say that it is immoral for a non-white person to care about his people. So when you're saying this to yourself, when you hear that MP go through your mind, that it is immoral, it is unethical, it is wrong, it is being ugly, being obese, being covered in acne, being diseased, being whatever, to think of groups of people as groups, races as races, ethnicities as ethnicities. When you hear this go through your mind, you say to yourself, no, I've been infected with this idea that it is immoral. And in fact, with a tiny bit of introspection, I can see that the same people that infected me with this idea only have taught me, rather, that it is only immoral when it pertains to white people, to Western kind. Because those same people that have told me it's immoral to think about groups of people, or unethical, evil, etc., ugly, those same people champion all of the non-white groups of people as distinct groups with very stark lines dividing them from the rest of humanity. Their beauty, their grace, their glory, their talents, whatever it is, very stark lines. Those same people. So I'm not going to allow this to haunt me. You have to address this. You have to confront, challenge, and dispel when you come across this MP in your mind. Now, when you're talking to anti-whites, it's very easy. I've used this one myself numerous times. When you're talking to vagues out there, you can gear it down for a vague, gear it up for a non-white or anti-white, non-white, or white person. So you say to the person, if it's just a vague, well, isn't it wrong? They've learned the same thing, right? So they're fearful. So you say, no, it's not. No, it's not wrong. They only, anti-whites only, and remember to call them anti-whites because your interlocutor won't want to be in that category. So I'm having a wonderful conversation, just a couple back and forths with a woman on Twitter who says, no, you need to call them, the anti-white slur, racists. Call them anti-whites. Call them anti-whites. So say to your interlocutor, well, no, the anti-whites only say that it's immoral when we're talking about Western kind. When we're talking about Westmen, then they say it's immoral to talk about groups. Why would an anti-white, you continue, why would an anti-white want you to think it's immoral when you're talking about Western kind, but it's moral when you're talking about the wonderful Arab race, or the wonderful Jewish race, or the wonderful black race, or the wonderful Asian race? Why would they want you to think it's immoral when it comes to white people? Well, the reason is in what I just stated, that they're anti-white. So no, there's nothing wrong with it. No, there's nothing immoral about it. If they decide to take the case up against you, the anti-white case, well, you can step it up a bit. You can just say, well, you are an anti-white. You sound like an anti-white. You would not say, we're in a private conversation right now, so it's convenient for you to say to me that it is immoral for any person to identify any other group of people as a group rather than individuals. But I know for a fact that if you were before any of these non-white races, you wouldn't dare say that they shouldn't be, that it is immoral for them to identify themselves as a group. You wouldn't dare say it because you know they would call you, the anti-white slur, racist for saying so. So you are a coward and a fool. This is how you deal with an anti-white.